So now let's try. All right, divine ones. For some reason, I've been having some internet issues here. I'm not sure what's going on. So let's get this started real quick here. My apologies. All right. Good evening, divine ones. Good evening. Let's bring in my co-host, Tina D Angelo. Hello, Tina. My apologies. My internet, I don't know what the heck happened. My internet cut out. My apologies. Internet, redneck internet is what we call it out here.
It's all good. I'm just so excited to be here with you tonight, ML.
Well, thank you. I'm excited too. I'm so excited. So we'll bring in our other guests here in just a minute. But what I'd like to do is let everybody know this is going to be, we're trying a new initiative here called Great Minds by Design. And what we thought we would do is create this space where we can actually talk about the new quantum healing technologies that are out there, but we're also talking about spiritual things as well that are deep and dear to our hearts, right?
Mhm.
We are moving into this next beautiful world right now, Tina, and we get to play a role in this. And this is what we're trying to do with Great Minds by Design. So what is your vision of, what would you hope to build and create and accomplish, through Great Minds by Design?
Well, one of my biggest passions is obviously helping as many people as possible. And I believe that we have something that could really change not only health and wealth, but really change people's lives for the better, right? Giving people like that ability to level up in life, like instead of just surviving. Because I don't know about you, but man, the last couple of years have just felt like pure survival, right? And it's time
Yes.
that we stop surviving and we actually start living our true purpose, as human beings here on this earth, which I know is something that's really near and dear to your heart as well. But I think when you attract the right people, I call them like-minded people, but somehow they always just seem to appear in your life sometimes when you're putting it out there. And I really believe that this year, 2024 in particular, is the time to kind of separate ourselves from that lower level of living and bringing as many people with us as we can.
Oh, I love that. You are spot on. You are spot on. Well, that's why we're here, is to help. There's this new shift that is happening for humanity. We hear a lot of these interesting terms in our great intro video. I put some of those terms in that because it's descriptive of what I believe is so important to us now, which is obviously we are our brothers and our sisters keepers, right? And
Mhm.
by doing that, we're teaching them about what abundance is. Abundance doesn't necessarily mean it's, wealth, wealth, wealth. Abundance means being abundant in health, abundant
Mm-hmm.
in spirit, abundant in soul. It's all inclusive, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And so I am so
Oh
happy to
yeah.
have you here with me, partnering with me in this endeavor. We have some amazing projects that we're working on that is part of Great Minds by Design that in the near future we'll probably tell everybody about what we're working on because it's going we came together a few months ago. Tina and I came together a few months ago because we saw there is opportunities within opportunities, but it's also how we approach certain opportunities in life. And the old way of doing things, the old way of the consciousness of way we conduct business, health, wealth, all these things, it's going by the wayside. And I think many of us are starting to see that there's an amazing opportunity to grasp a hold of that and be a part of that to help guide our brothers and sisters in this
Mm-hmm.
new world that we're helping to build and create itself. So thank you for
Yeah.
being here as well. I appreciate it so
Oh, of
much.
course. And I love that video. It literally gave me chills. I was just like, ooh, I'm so excited for what's coming ahead
Oh,
and what we
nice.
have planned for so many people.
Well, thank you. Well, that was interesting. I have a flash call. Okay. Well, that's very interesting. Okay. So, anyways, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself, Tina, your background, and so that way they can get acclimated to who you are, okay?
Of course. I'm actually medically trained. So I have 24, 25 actually years of experience in a hospital setting. I've studied all areas of medical imaging, and I've particularly specialized in diagnostic medical sonography. But the reason why I got into healthcare many, many years ago is because, first of all, I wanted to help people, but the human body is super fascinating to me, right? And I get to do something very unique that most people don't get to do is I literally get to look inside of bodies real time. So I get to see the organs
Mhm.
and the blood and how it all works synergistically together. But the amazing thing is that I get to see the cells and how that works as far as like cellular frequency, right? Because all medical imaging, it doesn't matter if it's an X-ray, an MRI, a CT, an ultrasound, they use some kind of source to play off our cells' natural frequency, right? Which is exactly what
Mhm.
we're going into at that quantum energy level. But I've literally been seeing it inside of bodies and looking at it, and it just all makes sense to me now, right? Because the science and medical has a role, obviously, in holistic healing, but I'm also an educator by nature. So I have also given back over 18 years of my time teaching the next set of healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses, right? And being able to not only like educate, but teach. So I come from a C1, do one, teach one mentality. So I like to keep it very simple, but I like to, we want to duplicate very quickly, right? So obviously, since we've been living in what I call a sick system, right? I no longer feel like I can truly help people in a broken healthcare system. But the knowledge and
Mhm.
the passion I have is still there, right? So using the things that I know from all those years of experience and my educational background and being able to apply it to something that's holistic healing, right? But it has to make sense. It has to make sense because, again, our bodies and cells, even our own DNA and genetics, is so unique to the individual. But we do now have technologies and things that are catching up, but it's basically proving what we've already had here on the earth to heal and cure us, right? So we're going back to Mother Nature, but using some of these amazing holistic innovations to our benefit. So again, it's just my passion has not stopped, but it's just taken like a different turn, like a different pivot, if that makes sense, so that can
Okay.
honestly fulfill my purpose as of even like 25 years ago, is where I can actually help people, not in a sick system, but like in a health system. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. I can also say that obviously I'm a busy wife and mom. I have 4 kids, right? I still work at a hospital. I'm trying to kind of transition out, but again, it's all about trading time for dollars and just trying to figure out where my next step could be as far as helping as many people as I possibly can, which is why we're here tonight. So thank you so
Mm.
much for allowing me to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Um, well, this is what it comes down to. This is what I've been teaching on my other platform for 3.5 years, is that we are beings of frequency. For in the beginning, the Elohim, God said, let there be light. Let us make man in our own image, right? We are beings of light. When you take the word hue, man, it's a 2-syllable word, right? The first being hue, which means light. Man means manifest. We manifest light.
Hmm.
And with today's technology, we can actually see
Yes.
and quantify that we do emit light,
Mhm.
abundant light. And the healthier our cells are, the healthier our mind is, the healthier our soul is, the more light that emanates from us as well. So I love this. I absolutely
Mhm.
love this. All right.
Yeah,
What
it
I'd
really
like
makes
to do, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tina.
No, I was just saying, it all makes sense when you kind of put those pieces of the puzzle together. And it's kind of like what I've been doing is solving the mystery, right? Solving the things that are going on wrong in the human body. And our human body is super fascinating because people don't realize that our bodies and cells are trying to work for us, right? Our bodies have an ability to
Mhm.
heal and regenerate and repair. But unfortunately, when we're giving it like poor nutrition, right? We're not feeding it through like the cellular nutrition, or we're damaging it through our chemicals, right? The medicines, right? All of the things that we've been taught
Yeah.
are are really just damaging, like you said, our life source, right? Which changes the
Mhm.
cellular frequencies. So every cell, if it's abnormal, the frequency will change, right? And I literally
Yes.
see this all day long. It's abnormal versus normal. And then what happens is we get these diseases and disorders and side effects. This free radical damage we call, which can lead obviously to cancer, which is our largest free radical change. But a lot of these damaged cells are in all of us, right? They're there many, 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 many years before we're ever going to know or feel it. Which is why people turn to like the medicine, right? And the chemicals, because they think that they're
Mhm.
actually doing something to their insides, where it's just masking the problem. There is actually no healing and repairing. So again, I have to go back to there's just we just know that there's a better way now. And it's kind of like why we're both here, is because we get to share with this amazing audience
Yeah.
something that they've never seen before.
I agree. I agree. Well, I had a terrible health situation a week ago, which it correlates exactly with what you just talked about. I had 2 choices. One, I could have went the traditional medicinal, Western medicine route, which they wanna just pump me full of pharmaceuticals, or 2, holistic. And I always
Mhm.
opt in for the holistic approach, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And I healed up rather nicely by
You did.
prescribing to the holistic method because yes, and it wasn't just a matter of, um, the holistic supplements, herbs, and so forth, the botanicals that I was putting into my body. It's the holistic approach of feeding my soul and nurturing my frequencies within my body with positive healing frequencies on top of that as well, you know? And it's all about line upon line, precept upon precept, right? And
Mhm.
so this is it's so we're going to have such an amazing time with this show. I'm telling you what, because I see the questions some of these people are asking right now, and we'll get to
Oh.
those questions. But what I'd like to do, yeah, 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 they
Oh, I
have
must
some
miss
great
that part.
questions that people are asking. Well, here, like I'll show you this one here. Dr. J Banana. Frequency matters. What's the difference between a station on 570 AM versus 1160? I prefer a station on 1510 on the dial, as they say. So, you know,
Sound frequency.
but we're gonna yes, that's right. So what I'd like to do is bring in our special guest. Now, Shelli has been one of my moderators for 2.5 years, I think, a little over 2.5 years. And she has an amazing story. She has a similar background that you do with the medical background, extensive training, and so forth like that too. But she has a very compelling story and testimony of going and getting out of the pharmaceutical side of putting those things into your body and taking the more holistic approach into her health as well. So what I'd like to do is bring in Shells. Are you there, dear?
Yeah. Hey, thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you very much. This is our first show, so I'm glad you've been patient with us. My internet, redneck internet, as usual. If it will go
Never
wrong, it
fails.
will go wrong. It never fails. So, Shelli, sorry, Shells. It's my term of endearment. I call her Shells. You have an amazing story yourself. You actually have a similar background that Tina has. Would you like to share a little bit about your background with us before we jump into your story of what you've been over in the last 6-7 months?
Yeah, that's thank you. Actually,
You bet.
it's the synchronicities are just unbelievable. But like Tina, I have a background in radiology as well. But I so I specialized. I have 20 plus years in the medical field, and I specialized in MRI, CT, X-ray, fluoro, and did specials in a small hospital, and also had to do operating room as well. So when you get to small hospitals in South Swamp-East Missouri, you learn you got to do it all.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. So have definitely when I was in health, it's so hard to call it healthcare because it's sick care.
It is.
That's all it is. It's
It
sick
is.
care.
Mhm.
And I wished that I had known about APL Go from the get go, but I give the pharmaceutical industry a heck of a shot with my ailments. Now I have a very extensive. I'm kind of more severe case, I guess, due to the history of my dad. My dad was in Vietnam and he did 2 tours and he was heavily exposed to Agent Orange. And so I have, of course, that was passed down to me. And so I have, in the last 16 years, been really battling uh, several forms of arthritis and then also lupus on top of that. And used to, before APL Go products, whenever I would get a major flare up, my lupus would have me like, I was in bed for like 3 to 4 days. I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't even cover myself up. My husband would have to cover me up, and he took care of me. He's a saint. But anyway, so, and that was while I was on the pharmaceuticals,
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't helping at all.
Mm-mm.
And I mean, at all. And it got to where um, I was done
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, why am I taking this stuff that smells like petroleum, like literally smelled like diesel fuel? And I, I had gotten my medicines refilled, and when I opened my medicine, this one medicine in particular, like it was so disgusting. I couldn't take it.
That's
And so I
hard.
took it back to the pharmacy and I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. And I, at the time, didn't do the research and didn't know that they were made from crude oil, you know? So I had no idea.
Mm.
But it was God saying, here's your wake up call, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I took it back and they're like, oh, you got a bad batch. And I'm like, a bad batch? I'm like, what's this stuff made of? And so I started questioning the pharmacist and everything. And
Yeah.
they're like, and they didn't want to tell me. And I'm like, well, it smells like diesel fuel, you know? I'm raised
Mm-hmm.
on a farm. I know what diesel fuel smells like, you know? And so, yeah. So um, I was able to, I started the products in July of last year. And at that time, my hands were hurting so bad. Like I couldn't even touch my hands. And I even was doing uh, the nerve ointment and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
holistic salves and stuff. But and it was at the point to where I just could like it to think about touching my hands or to put my hands in my pockets. It would and I have a very high pain tolerance. Like
Yeah, that's a lot of pain.
yeah, it really was. And so whenever I started by doing the metabolic reset kit
Mm-hmm. That's a
because
great one.
PFT was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, and then I added to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but in order to get my pain under control with my hands, I thought you just have to, everybody's different and we all have different needs. So I was doing 4 stop, 4 slide, and 4 of the relax. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I was also doing happy as well,
Mm-hmm.
but I only did like 1 to 2 happy a day, whereas I was doing the relax with that. And I'm going to tell you something. At first, I did 1 or I did 2 at first. And I'm like, that's not really doing nothing for me. So I upped it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept upping it until it made a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever it made a difference, I was like, oh my gosh.
Right. Nature's healing.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
within 5 days, I had no pain in my hands
Wow.
that pharmaceuticals over 15 years could never even make a dent.
Mm-mm.
Couldn't even make any type of improvement at all.
5 days. That
5 days.
yeah, direct to cell nutrition. You can't
Yes.
beat it.
hmm
Mhm.
5 days.
So, Shells,
So,
let me ask you a question real quick, Shells. So,
mhm.
when you started using these protocols with APL Go, how many different medications were you on at that time, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. So I was on quite a few. I took like 7 different medications. They wanted me on more, but I wouldn't take more.
Right.
And
Mhm.
so I was on, but I I told my doctor what I was going to do. And my doctor, I've been in the healthcare, sick care for so long. He's like, you're going to do what you're going to do. He goes, you listen to your body and you listen to it well. And he said, I know when you come in here, you got something. And I work with a nurse practitioner that I used to work with, and he's my primary. And so he's like, you're going to do it. My rheumatologist didn't know until I went in, and I do have my lab work, and my lab work shows improvement with the Go products.
Yep. Proof is in the pudding. Yep.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah. And so at 6 weeks into the products, I was off of all of my medications.
What a miracle. 6 weeks, and people live in pain and constant deterioration of their body for years. Right?
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because there's a side effect to all of the, well, there's multiple side effects, and then the doctors are just prescribing one chemical on top of the other chemical and the other chemical. And the things with chemicals, and you probably even know this, Shells, is because, you know, chemicals just mask symptoms. That's all they do. So then all the cells around them freak out because they try to turn them off. So the cells are like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? I don't understand it. That's where all the side effects come in. When you're using a direct-to-cell nutrition that uses the quantum energy, it reads cellular frequency, right? It's a perfect match to even your own genetic code. Those cells are craving it. They're like, give me more, right? Those ones that have changed the frequencies that we talked about. So instead of masking symptoms, we're feeling indeficiencies. So you're getting the same effect, almost like a pharmaceutical where you're getting pain relief, right? You know, autoimmune, all the things, which obviously, you know, with the lupus and the arthritis and things, that's obviously what she was probably, you know, suffering, was her own body was attacking itself, right? And by using what we call these nutrients, that a 99% bioavailability is, the cells are like, please give me more, right? I want to heal and repair. But again, we have to go back to, we're an overfed, undernourished society. We have so much available to us, right? But our food source is terrible and we can't get away from it. We go into the grocery store, unless you're only eating in the produce section, which organic isn't the same organic that we had 50 to 100 years ago. Our soils have been depleted. Our crops are overproduced, right? Over here in the USA, we have really crappy soils. Like, let's just be honest. So having something like this, where, you know, we can counteract some of these, you know, and I'm not saying that you can't be 100% clean eating. Like, you just literally can't get away from it. You know, the UV, the pollution, the 5G, like all those positive ions, plus all the food that we're just consuming, and we're not getting enough nutrients, right? So I'm a big believer you can't overdo health, but I'm also a believer that people waste. Like, when you're taking these pills and supplements, and they're all synthetically made in a lab, your cells do not recognize it. It literally goes down the toilet. And the number one thing they find in the sewer system, undissolved supplements and medication. It's proven. And our guts are a wreck. So we can't methylize or absorb anything. And then you can go into genetic variants like MTHFR, which more than half the population has, where you honestly have something even in your own DNA that doesn't allow your digestive system to get the nutrients from your food. So again, we're just climbing this uphill battle. But good for you, Shells, for listening to your body. You know, I'm glad you have a doctor that was being more proactive with you, because a lot of them aren't. You know, a lot of them said, do it my way or the highway, right? Which is unfortunate. But wow, your story is just a miracle. Thank you so much for sharing that.
And I do have to say, you're welcome. I have been able to back off of the stop, slide, and the relax. I watched and listened to my body and watched how it reacted and everything. And at 4 months in, I was able to go down to 3 times a day. And at 6 months, I was able to go down to 2 times a day.
Yeah.
So just because
Better. Yeah.
and I'm still pain free. That is, I mean, that's the kicker right there. I'm pain free.
So many people live
And
in pain. It's terrible.
yeah. So it's just listening to your body. And I will say that about 10 weeks in, I felt a shift in my body when I was doing a meditation. And like, I literally, my body, I was able to like go back in time. Like, I felt 15 years younger. I really did. I felt like I did before I was diagnosed with everything.
Was it kind of like a fog that just kind of lifted? That's what I hear a lot.
It was an internal shift.
Just as
And it was like something just like shifted, and I was like, what is going on? And I mean, from that point on, I was moving like so much. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I was getting around like an old lady. I really was. And but I began to get my mobility back and did it naturally.
Yeah.
So
congratulations. I hear thousands and thousands of stories like you, but it never gets old. Like, and it's been life-changing to myself, my husband, my kids, like on so many levels. And it just, doesn't it feel good to just be like chemical free, medicine free, even pill free, right?
Yeah.
Because it's old. It's old supplementation. Why are we doing things the old hard way when we don't have to anymore? I mean, we can solve all the problems of traditional supplementation just right here with what we have, right? We just got to share it. We got to let people know. It's just, new to us, obviously not new to some of the other parts of the world, like Eastern Europe and Europe, which to me makes so much more sense because, again, we're a sick system, regulated. And usually, you probably know this, Shells, even in the medical world, we're usually about 9 to 10 years behind.
Yeah.
And especially in holistic healing, but even in medical procedures. So yeah, we're just, too over-regulated. But I know like the times have changed, especially since we had this crazy pandemic.
Yeah. That's when I walked away.
Their minds.
Yeah. I walked away because in Missouri, they didn't accept a religious exemption.
So I was right there with you. Chopping block, right to the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's okay, because that's when everything came into focus. I mean, and just getting better and better.
Yeah.
Well, like they say, when one door closes, another door always opens up. That's the thing, right? That's the thing. It's like I was just having this discussion with my wife earlier today and with somebody else earlier on a conference call this morning. I really feel like this is the second half of my life. And I actually feel, this transition that I've made in the second half of my life, I am wiser in my approach to my health and all these different things that I took for granted previously to that, right? And from a spiritual standpoint, just in a whole standpoint, making that transition, I feel better now than I did the first half of my life. Whether, even though I was younger and I was more capable to do things that I can't do now that I was able to do then, I don't think my eyesight's good enough to shoot 2,100 yards still, but the fact is, I could still, if I need to, go deer hunting, I could go deer hunting and still be able to have stamina to do something like that. But like I said, this is the second half of life, and I just feel better now than I did previously, honestly speaking. And I'm just taking a more holistic approach.
I love it. And that's what I feel like when you do that cellular repair regeneration restoring, right? It's truly anti-aging. Like I have felt
Right.
it because obviously I was one of the first people to get a hold of this product here in North America. So I've been on it for over 3 years. And my friends are just like, Tina, what are you doing? You just keep looking younger and younger. And I'm like, I swear it is true. Like my skin, my hair, my lashes is, I don't ever go get everything done to my face. I know it's crazy. And I'm nearing 50 and people can't believe it. And I said, it's because when you're healthy on the inside, it shows on the outside, right?
Mhm.
And that's when you
Mhm.
know that even at like the genetic level, right, our own DNA, is we can actually start to even extend those telomeres, right, that make up even some of our chromosomes, so that we can have these longer, healthier, more fulfilling lives. Like ML said, right? Why do we need to just throw in the towel, right, and just say, oh, you know? I have 70 and 80-year-olds who are just, it's like the fountain of youth for them. They've just come back. They're thinking clearer. Their energy's coming up. They're like, I'm not done living yet, right? I want to be as healthy as possible, but their hearts are, I want to help as many of my friends and family as possible, right? If I feel this amazing, why would I be selfish and keep it to myself when you know that you
Yes.
have a gift that you can share?
Yes, absolutely. Well, we lost Shells again. She's got internet issues too. She lives in rural Missouri as well. So,
Oh,
but we're gonna move on here. So, what I'd like to do is play this short little new video for APL Go,
love it.
and let's cue this up.
In this world of innovation, would you rather have an old, outdated flip phone or a brand new iPhone? A horse and buggy carriage or the newest luxury hybrid? A dial up router with your AOL account or a super fast Wi Fi hotspot? With nutrition, what you have been using or taking up until now hasn't been bad. There's just something newer. We all appreciate advancements in science and technology. In the same way we seek the best and newest in our electronics, vehicles, and everyday conveniences, wouldn't you also want the best technology and newest innovation for your nutrition and supplementation? At the time, you may have had the best from what was out there and available. Now, there is something better and newer, more bioavailable, more convenient, better tasting, faster acting. It literally is the equivalent to getting an IV full of high-tech nutrients right into your bloodstream, without the needle, without the appointment, without being attached to anything for a specific length of time. Simply pop these tasty, all-natural lozenges into your mouth and savor as they instantly start to absorb into your bloodstream through your mucous membranes. That's it. And with the added benefit of negative ions, in other words, energy, there isn't anything else out there on the market like it. Now is the time to switch to the next improvement and innovation in health and nutrition. It's time for advancement. It's time for better. It's time for APL Go and our rapid botanical DNA drops.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm glad that you shared that with me earlier, Tina. That's a really good video. I like it.
Yeah,
It's very short,
says it
concise.
all.
It just gives enough information. It says
Hmm.
it all. APL Go has been a game changer for me as well in my life. Um, so what I'd like to do is I'll try and bring Shells back in here, but I want to move on and talk about this fad diet that's happening in our country with this shot called what is that? Ozempic? Is that what it's
Yeah.
called? Ozempic?
Hmm.
I think there's another name.
They have some
Wegovy? I
different
think they're made by the
versions.
same manufacturer.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'll bring Shells in here. That's okay, Shells. I
Sorry.
know that you've got internet issues. That's okay.
Yeah, I
So
got a
what I want to
storm
talk
coming
about
through.
is this Ozempic issue that's going on. Dr. Brian Ardis a couple weeks ago did this video, with Mike Adams, a health ranger, and he broke it down that he was at this conference and he'd asked how many people in the audience, and there was hundreds of people in this audience attending this conference he was speaking at. And he asked them, how many people are taking this new weight loss diabetes cure called Ozempic? And he said almost everybody in the audience raised their hands. He about fell over. And the reason why he fell over was because he said that this product, this new fad weight loss product that's administered via a shot, the primary ingredient in it comes from a Gila monster lizard, which is venom, is the primary thing. And he said there's actually several side effects that people need to be aware of this thing. He said it's actually got a published black box warning label of these different side effects. He said the biggest one, guys, is this. He said that every person who starts taking that drug, within 12 to 36 months of use, they're going to start to develop every form of thyroid cancer.
Yes.
This is literally the black box warning, right?
Yeah, you don't want to mess with your endocrine system.
No. And then he also said people start to experience gastroparesis, which is the paralyzing of your stomach. It doesn't empty out. It just, the waste sits there.
Right.
And then the toxins, right? It starts shutting down your body. He said the part about that is you start going into acute and long-term renal failure, kidney failure, and liver failure because of this too, because of the overtoxins in the body. And he said most people that are on this drug, they puke, they start vomiting. They have these, they just have sickly vomiting, right? And he said even if you quit taking the drug for 2 to 3 years afterwards, people are still vomiting because there's things that are attached into their body that it's not able to get rid of. I mean, being in the medical field, you know, Tina, I'm sure you've seen a lot of this stuff in your modern, you know, I mean, what do you think? You're
Well, I'm still in radiology, and I do work by myself, you know, I do have a radiologist that I can work with, but I'm like the first responder. They call me in at all hours of the night, and I come in and I do these exams on patients and whatnot. And you're right. You know, don't mess with your intestines, first of all, because that's a lifelong problem. I get that people want a quick fix, right? People are looking for the miracle pills. It's not how your body works. There's not anything out there that's a miracle pill. And if someone's promoting it and hyping it up as a miracle, then just think of, like you said, all the long-term damage and things they don't even know about this, right? And with your pancreas, that's where all of your insulin, your blood sugar, people don't realize that the pancreas actually produces all your digestive enzymes that break down your food, right? And it dumps into the first part of the duodenum. And when you start messing with that, then you're also going to be triggering the entire endocrine system, right? So you're looking again, you know, at your thyroid, right? Which, you know, again, is so crucial to, like, you know, those hormones that play off of even like diabetes. They're finding out, like, because it's almost like an autoimmune issue, right? So then again, we're going back to your body attacking itself and having these lifelong problems where you can't reverse that, right? Like once your thyroid is gone, I've literally seen people's where they haven't even had their thyroid removed, but the gland is completely gone because the body eats it up little by little by little till it's just poof. Have you seen that too, Shells?
Yep.
People don't realize that, right? And then it's going to affect the parathyroid. And there's already so many hormonal disruptors out there because of our food, because of the soys and the things that they just packed full of our food, that it's causing so many hormonal disorders, even with men, right? Testosterone and prostate, which is on the rise, but even with women, right? With polycystic ovarian syndrome, and even like our younger generation. I see gallstones and fatty liver disease on these teenagers because they're eating themselves to death. This fast food and all this stuff that they're eating, and there's no education on being preventative and proactive. Like I remember when, as we were kids, and you probably remember, I had a plate full of vitamins that I had to take every morning with breakfast. Kids nowadays, they're like, ugh, I'm not going to touch it unless it's one of those gummies that is full of sugar and dyes, right?
Yep. That's right.
So again, yeah, it's like full circle. But when it comes back to, like, I get weight loss, right? People want to lose weight, but there really is a better way. And we actually have that here, even within this company, because I've personally been able to, again, I'm, in close to 50. I get the struggles real. I've lost 4 inches off my waist, 2 pant sizes, right? Yeah. Just by using a natural botanical, because it helps regulate those metabolic functions, the thyroid, the pancreas, my hormones. And when you get your cells where they're working for each other, then you automatically start shedding the weight. But I don't have to worry about it coming back. I don't have to worry about the side effects. Like I don't have loose bowel, nothing irritable, right? I don't feel bloaty. I don't have loose bowels. There's no diarrhea. All the things that happen, no nausea, vomiting. I just feel amazing. Energy, right? Beyond belief. But all it does is it just helps curb my cravings. It helps burn visceral fat, which we know visceral fat, right? Around the belly. It's around our intestines, our liver, our heart. It's the hardest fat to burn, but it's the most crucial. So sometimes, it depends on where your body's targeting, right? I call it the natural fat burner but it's burning the fat that's causing a lot of the problems. And when you target that fat, then the rest of it starts to just work all together, right? And then but yeah, there's better ways. Let's just put it out there. But I agree with what that doctor talked about. I see it. A lot of people are coming in the ER with nausea and vomiting and pain and bowel issues. And a lot of them are taking that product. And then they're doing CTs and MRIs and ultrasounds and all the things trying to find the problem, when clearly the problem is what they're putting in their body, the toxins, the chemicals. Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right. I think if anything, over the last, let's say 4 years, when the pandemic took place, it really helped people, for those people, I guess, not everybody, but a lot of people. I saw the shift in the collective consciousness started happening, where people were starting to really take their health serious, right? Where they were not just readily going out there and getting the shots, the boosters and stuff like that. They started doing their due diligence and started researching like crazy, because they had a lot of time on their hand, right? They weren't going to work and stuff, so they had a lot of time on their hand to start researching, and so they're starting to make these lifestyle choices, and their health being one of them, because they started seeing people around them that were getting these shots, boosters, and they were still contracting the virus, right? So how do you contract the virus after you're supposed to be, you're immune to it, but you're still contracted at the same time, right? I had somebody, I kid you not, dear friends of ours, they took one of the first shots that came out, the first series from Pfizer, and she had a black flashlight. He shined it right over her veins and her hands and her feet, and they glowed right underneath their skin. Still to this day, still
Wow.
to this day. And you should have saw the look on her face at that time. She really thought, she signed her death warrant. She's still alive, of course, but her health has deteriorated since that time.
Mhm.
She's had so many serious situations happen to her now. And
Mhm.
she knows she can trace it all back to that point in time, when it happened and stuff like that. We've only got a few minutes left. What I'd like to do is bring Gino in and introduce him real quick.
Hello, everybody.
Gino,
Hi, Gino.
how are you, brother?
I go by Doc G on the radio. For all my listeners out there, this is Doc G, the owner of Hamilton Radio for 28 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Doc G. I appreciate that. Well, I just wanted to introduce you guys, our audience, people for the first time that are seeing this, that we're part of the Hamilton Radio Network family. And so this show, we're going to be broadcasting on Mondays at the same time. And it's going to be broadcast on multiple platforms itself. But Doc G has been in this game for a long time. And I came to him, I was introduced to him actually about a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago, from a mutual friend. And I thought, you know what? I would like to do this and see if there's a way that we could actually reach more people through radio streaming, podcasting services than just the traditional social media streaming that I've been doing. And so I want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity to be affiliated with you and your great network, of course, and also for your expertise and to help us and guide us as we're doing this. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome, both of you. Everybody's out there welcome. Again, this is the reason why I told my wife a couple of years ago, this is why I created the radio station. I didn't want to make it all about music, but I wanted to make it informative, not with the news that you hear out there, but the real news that people need to hear, that media won't cover. Why? Because media runs everything but this radio station. And that's the most important part of it.
Yeah, real conversations, right? That's what makes the difference.
Oh, yeah. And I can even go into some details, too, because some of my friends, Jordan Maxwell, Dr. LeBeau, I interviewed her many, many years ago. She was a sweetheart of a person. She told us about all this stuff that was going to start happening with the shots.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever seen the video, but if you get a chance, it's still, I think it's on YouTube. Jesse Ventura, I interviewed her. She lives, I think, in Argentina now, but she didn't even want to stay here for the interview. And she said they're going to put something, a special thing in the vaccines that's going to cause everybody these problems. And she said it's coming. She knows it because remember, one thing that Dr. LeBeau knows is because her husband was a General Stubblebine. He was one of the American generals in the Army. And when 9/11 happened, that's when I met them. And they're just incredible. She's still doing great work. But she also knows about all this stuff. And my friend Jordan Maxwell is also, involved with ETs and things like that. But I learned so much from everybody that I meet, including ML and including you, Tina, and Shell's what you said, that the information that you get is raw. It's the way it should be. People are telling you their life stories. I started taking APL Go maybe about 6 months ago.
Okay.
I really seen a big improvement within the first month. And now my wife is taking all mine. So it's okay.
Yeah.
She has some issues. I don't want to go into them, but she has more of the non-physical issues, but more, the type of things to deal with. I have more physical issues, which is a bad back, problems with my kidneys, problems with my liver, little things here and there that add up over the years. Because remember, as an Italian, you eat a lot of Italian food, and over a couple of years ago, I gave up eating meat, dairy, and a lot of things. And my body, I think it resulted in keeping me a lot healthier. However, I think it brought on the kidney stones because of the oxalate diet going up. And again, you learn this, we were drinking a lot of green smoothies and we were drinking a lot of, special green juices, but there's a balance there, you know?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're learning right now. We're trying to eat, very, very little meat, but every now and then I do eat meat. I don't eat it all the time. I
Right.
maybe once a month, which is really hardly any meat at all. But the bone broth, I try to incorporate all the great nutrition. I just found a friend, and I told him Elvis that goes to these countries and brings back the herbs as 100% as they are.
Yeah.
100% herb is going to cure you 100% because it doesn't have the process. It's not waiting for you to deliver it. It comes back the way it is, and then he dries it out and he sells it. And I think that's the best way to get herbs other than APL Go. APL Go is a great way to get herbs because it's sweet, it's tasty. I mean, I don't know how many you can put in your mouth at a time, but I think I put like 3 or 4 of all different
ones. Like a gobstopper. It
was so good. Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. So I learned a lot with APL Go. And I want to thank my friend and ML's friend, Debbie Stevens, for that, because she really turned me on to that and helped me actually align my body so it would be a lot healthier. So we're working on them issues, but I have a great confidence in not only APL Go, but also some different things I'm doing for the kidneys. As far as the nephrons, I don't know if anybody knows this, but the nephrons in the kidneys are your tubes, and the tubes get clogged. How do they get clogged? They get clogged from different things we eat, different things we drink, and kidney stones. So if you clear them out, your nephrons work better, and you don't have a problem with your kidneys after that because you're starting to address the problem with the kidneys. So yeah, that's what I got to say about that. But I'm working on all these different things, and I want to thank APL Go for, giving me my life back. You know,
thank you for trusting a product like with so much innovation. And the thing is, too, Gino, is that this company is not stopping. We have some incredible things coming out, even this year alone. Things that we are hearing a lot in the marketplace. But there again, it's not a 99% bioavailable, direct to cell, submucosal, like we saw in the video, right? You can't get any better than like an IV, right? Sticking a needle in your vein and getting those nutrients, those minerals, those vitamins, macros, micros, antioxidants, phytonutrients, the things that our cells are screaming, please help me, right? But people want to feel good quick. We don't want to wait 3 months, 6 months, a year, and take all these supplements. I tell my friends and family, when's the last time you felt something from choking down horse pills? Right? That you don't. Right?
That's right.
Yeah. And I just want to say, I was on 15 different medicines years ago, not knowing anything about things, just going back and forth to work and doing my thing. And I was on Bextra, Celebrex, Zoloft, something for Prevacid for that, and so many different medicines. And I went to an internist, and the internist said, "You've got to get off all these medicines." He says they're literally a cocktail in your body, and bleeding internally at the time. And he said, if you get off as soon as possible, he said, you will still live. So if you don't, you'll be dead probably by Monday. That's how bad it was. And I thank God for that, because if I didn't see that, and sometimes we see symptoms, right? And we look at the symptoms and we say, wait a minute, I don't want to be part of that. But no, that's your body telling you you have a problem to address it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's what a lot of us don't do.
Yeah. Or we just try to mask it again. And then it does, it just keeps getting worse and worse. And well, good for you, Gino.
Let's do this real quick. Let's shift this real quick. So Vicky B has a question. She's 68 years young. She's had Crohn's since 18 or 17. Only meds that she's on are pain meds because of 8 compression fractures in her back.
Wow.
What would you recommend to her?
Well, obviously with the Crohn's, and that can be genetic. So it could have been something that maybe was passed on down, from whatever genetic variant. Sometimes things in our environment trigger these things to come out because you've had it since you're 17. And Crohn's is one of those things where it's not necessarily curable, but you can definitely help control the symptoms or put it in remission. So I would definitely recommend our gut product, which has 20 different natural prebiotics that help balance the gut biome. It's called MLS. But we actually have what we call a detox kit, which actually combines HPR, which is short for Hepar, right, our liver. Because again, I believe you can't truly treat the gut without being able to help the liver, the gallbladder, and specifically the pancreas, because I talked about how the pancreas produces all the digestive enzymes that when you have Crohn's, you're going to have a lot of inflammation, hard time digesting. You're going to have a lot of like loose bowels and things like that. So with those two together, they're really going to help balance that natural gut biome. And then I always say unfortunately, like there are very few botanicals that can actually act like a probiotic, because probiotics don't naturally come from nature. They're fermented process like kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt. So if you're eating a lot of that, that's great. That's a natural source. If you don't tend to get a lot of the probiotics, go get a high quality one. That would probably be the one pill I would take. But you got to take your HPR and MLS every day, because the pros won't work unless it feeds off the pre. Okay. So again, I feel like, the liver, gallbladder, kidneys, pancreas, gut. The gut is our second brain. People don't realize there's a gut-brain balance. There's an artery in a vein called the vagus artery and vein that actually goes from the large intestine to the brain. So a lot of our anxiety, depression, these kids, think about these kids right now, is mental health, right? It's because their guts are wrecked. So if you could get your gut balance quickly, I think you'd feel amazing. As far as like the spinal compression, something, obviously what Shells did was slide, stop, RLX. RLX is a natural muscle relaxant. We use it for like sleep or anxiety, but it has multiple effects. It doesn't make you sleepy or groggy. That's the cool thing about this, and I didn't even mention it. There's no side effects, because we don't use actually any fleshy matter from an actual plant. So there's nothing in your digestive system to break down. It's the proteins that we digest that cause the allergens, the stimulants, the side effects, the interactions with meds. You can't overdose. There's no known side effects because we use the nanoparticle or the DNA form. So again, you can't overdo it, but you may have to start out taking several times a day, because if your pain's been chronic, you're going to need a lot, right? You need like more of a therapeutic dose. And then like Cheryl said, over time, she's been able to reduce some of that because the healing and regeneration and repair is happening. And the slide and stop is kind of like slide is an anti-inflammatory. Stop is a general pain. So I compare that to your ibuprofen and Tylenol, right? So again, how would you address pain? You'd go for like the Tylenol ibuprofen combination. Would you just take one? No, of course not. You would take probably multiple, right, to get the desired effect. But you can try with one, see how you feel in 10 minutes. If you need another, but don't be afraid to overdo it in the beginning, because I know your body probably is craving this nutrition. And then just like you said, see where you're going from there. The only other one that maybe you could add, if you're trying to get a little bit more pain relief and you don't feel like the slide, stop, and RLX are doing it, even though I feel like that one really does cut it for most people, is HPY. It's a product that has hemp seed in it, devil's claw, ginkgo, ashwagandha, which we all know there's amazing health benefits to hemp, and they use the hemp seed. So again, no THC. There's a lot of stigma around hemp, but it's another one that would help with just natural relaxation and pain and things like that. But yeah, definitely look into the detox kit, HPR, MLS, and then get some of those pain relievers as well. And the great thing is they're really affordable. Like, we're not raking people over the coals here. Most of those products I talked about are only $25 for a box, and there's 30 in there. So it depends on how you use them.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, that was a good segue. Stuart Pedasso was asked, how much is it? Well, we have 3 different product categories. You have a daily collection, where you can get a 30-day supply for $25 a month.
Yeah, wholesale.
Then you have wholesale, right? Retail is only $50. So whether it's wholesale or retail, our price is really, really affordable. You know, I see how much money people spend on their supplements out there. And again, you know,
Space.
they're wasting it. It really is. It's crazy, but it's a big business. It's the biggest business probably right outside of pharmaceuticals is the supplement, health and wellness supplement industry itself too. You know, that's why people have to ask, you know, what's the science? What is the science behind my product and things like that? I was actually watching a short video. I think it was a TikTok video somebody sent me today. This guy was breaking down energy drinks, and there's a certain product, a B12 vitamin complex in these energy drinks. And he says, and he named the energy drinks. Celsius was the brand, Monster was another brand, and there was another one. And he says it's not just in those, but he said it's in the supplements, the B12 supplements that you get from the pharmacies, and your pharmacist can compound. He said this B12 is the sludge from the sewage plants. They're scraping the sludge off of the sewage treatment plants, human sewage, and they're baking it, and then they ship it off to the compound pharmacies to make supplements with it. He says it's in your energy drinks. I was like, oh my God. Well, I don't drink any of those anyway, but just still, I mean, it was crazy what this guy was breaking down. So again,
AML, guess what lab meat is? Lab meat is the same thing.
That's exactly right.
It's right. And there's sugar, I think.
Aspartame.
Yeah.
So we can go on and on with
poisoning. That's right.
Oh yeah, we could have a whole nother show.
We'll do that. But let's wrap it up. We're at a little over the top of the hour. So, you know, it was a great show. Thank you for being here, Tina. I look forward to doing more shows with you. Thank you, Juno. I appreciate you being here and helping us produce as well. I got to say thank you, Shells, for being here. I appreciate you sharing your testimonial with us and being a guest with us as well. So anybody, thank you. I've actually shared email addresses for Tina. You can get a hold of Tina if you have some questions. You can get a hold of me if you have some questions. We'll do our best to answer them. And we'll catch you guys next Monday. Is there any closing remarks you'd like to say before we close this out?
I just want to thank everyone for just being open-minded enough to like maybe look at some different things that maybe you've never heard of before. I don't think this is the last time that you'll hear about it. I think that we're just really on to something really big here. And this will be kind of a new way, right? You know, there's a thing called industry disruptor. A lot of people throw that term around, but a true industry disruptor is when you change a process, right? Something that people are used to doing, but you actually change it to something better, right? A newer way. And I really think we're going to change the supplement industry here, specifically with this product, because it really is truly an industry disruptor. And I don't think it's not going away, right? It's just, again, word of mouth, right? Which is what we're doing here tonight. So thank you so much, Gino, ML, and Shells, for allowing us to have this platform and be here.
Thank you. All right.
Yes.
Well, everybody have a blessed evening, and we'll catch you around next time. Have a blessed evening as well.